Hi, it's Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching today. Let's talk about cocktailing a lip. Now, I have for years, forever, from the time that even before I was wearing lipstick, I was in middle school and mixing glosses and lip balms together to try and get more of a lipstick look because I wasn't allowed to wear lipstick until I was 14. And so I was always trying to see if I could get like a cherry lip balm and a really clear, juicy lip gloss together to look more like a red lipstick. I was forever doing that. So ever since I can remember, since before I actually started wearing makeup, I have been mixing lip formulas together. And I'm sure you have done it too, but if you haven't, oh my goodness, this is a great way to get all of those lipsticks that you buy, that you try on, you're like, oh, I don't like the way this feels, or oh, this color, it looks terrible on me. How to get use out of those lipsticks that you don't reach for as often as you'd like. The other thing I wanted to bring up, somebody else asked, how do I find the right lipstick for the makeup look that I'm doing? My first advice for choosing the right lipstick for the makeup look you're going for is if you just don't know, what is your natural lip color, but either a little glossier, a little more matte, or just slightly enhanced, either a little more nude or a little bit more pink. What is it that you're looking for? And when you put on a lip product, does it make the rest of your face light up? So the one that I'm wearing today, super easy. It's from Hard Candy. It's their I think it's their Instapout kind of a tinted lip balm. I got this at Walmart for like $7, $8. This one's called My Type. So this is a sheer glossy balm that once you roll it up, you can't roll it down. But this is basically a hardly there lip color. This is letting the bulk of my natural lip color show through. It's not really going to cover it up. It's not going to be opaque. And because it has just a little bit of pink, which I tend to favor in my lip products that lean a little bit more on the pinky side than the peachy side, this is the exact perfect shade for, I've got a bold eye going on and I want something on my lips, but what? This. Because it's just a little bit, it's not too much. And it gives a little bit of shine, but it's not like crazy glossy. It just looks like happy, healthy lips. Now, if I wanted to do with the kind of warm eye that I have going on, if I wanted to do something that was a little bit more dialed up, because I'm a lazy person, I don't want to think too hard, I would think what warm-ish nude lipstick would look good with this. I'm going to throw this on. This is a perfect nude for me. This is from Lisa Eldridge, the Luxuriously Lucent in Kitten Mischief. Has a little bit more color to it than the one from Hard Candy. And it's just a little bit more on the warm side and less on the pink side. And you'll see that here. This definitely has a little bit more peach to it. This definitely has a little bit more pink to it, but it still works with this look. I tend to, just because I'm not super amazing at color theory, I tend to, if I'm wearing a warm eye, I'll wear a warm cheek and a warm lip. If I'm wearing a cooler eye, I'll wear a cooler cheek and a cooler lip. Not always, but usually that's my default. And if I'm wearing shades that are more neutral, then I can pull warm or cool on the lip and not really worry about what the overall look is going to look like. I feel like this is a really great way to kind of bump this up just a little bit and to take it to a slightly different place. It's not so much pink, but definitely a hair peachier. If I wanted to take this up to more of a statement lip with this look, I would reach for a red. This one is from Gucci. This is their satin lipstick in the shade Red Odalie, but this is a warm red. I think that this look still works, but if you're looking at it, do you see how it looks more orange here, even though it appears more red on the lips? It is a tomatoey red shade, definitely a warm leaning red. And I feel like a bold statement lip like this can work really well with a warm but neutral leaning eye. Another way I could make more of an impactful statement with my lips with a look like this is to go even darker. This is from LYS, and this is a matte lipstick that leans on the darker side, but it's kind of a warm leaning brown. Here it is. This is the shade Desired. when I pull it on, I feel like it completely changes the look of my face. Where everything was light and easy before, this is a more serious, slightly more amped up look overall. And it kind of gives me, because it really, you know, brings all of the focus to right here. I feel like I could use just a touch more blush. That's the one thing I do frequently. It's depending on the shade of lipstick I'm wearing or the opacity or depth of the lipstick that I'm wearing. I will either apply more blush or put a little something over my overly blushed cheeks to kind of tame them down just a little bit. But this is one of those things, like 4 different lipsticks can go from really sheer and easy looking to a little bit more like, oh yeah, different. And then statement lip, statement lip. But there's a lot of different ways you can take it. And with the exception of this first one here, which is more on the pink side, the rest of these are all decidedly warm. All right, let's talk about what to do when you have a lip product that maybe you got a shade, you were expecting it to be one shade and it was completely different. I pulled some lipsticks here that I ordered and I was like, oh, that's not what I thought it was gonna be. Let me put some of those on and I'll show you how I make them work for me. Here's one lipstick that I almost never wear because of look how dark it is. This is from Lisa Eldridge. This is Velvet Midnight. Although I really like this color, I rarely wear it because, being as fair as I am, this is such a statement on my lips. It makes me a little self-conscious. I feel like also the older I get, the more volume, collagen I'm losing in my lips, and a dark color like this just makes my lips look smaller. But if I want to wear this shade, I will start with an application like this, and then we'll give her a blot. I feel like this is already at a better place. I will also take the time to run my finger over it to kind of thin it out even more. Here's where I'm gonna pull in a lip liner. And this is a not quite as dark as this lipstick shade, but it's gonna help me to kind of perfect and cheat my lip line because it is such a dark statement color, but also cheat it just a little bit. So I like to cheat at the Cupid's bow. And then right down here at the center of the bottom lip. And I will overdraw just a little bit to give myself a little added fullness, but then I won't continue to overline the lips. I'll take it back into inside that vermilion border. So at this point, my favorite thing to do is I feel like I need a little bit more color and dimension. So what I usually do here is I'll take that tissue again. I'll wipe off the bulk of what's in the middle and I'll grab a slightly brighter, just a little bit more vibrant shade. This may seem kind of like a crazy idea, but this is a warm red. I'm not putting it all over because now I'm going to take my finger and mix this cooler berry shade with this warmer red shade. Definitely still a statement lip. It is still definitely on the dark side, but if you were looking, this is the shade that I started with here. I threw on this kind of more cranberry lip liner and then I topped it with a really warm tomato leaning red. It's really, really interesting to me when you mix those shades together, this is what you get. So if you ever feel like something is too warm, add something cooler, or vice versa. And you're going to get a little bit more use out of some of those lipsticks that you've always saying, you know, I like the way that it feels, but the color just looks terrible. What happens if you mix it with a lighter lip liner or a darker lip liner? Let me show you another combination. Here's a lipstick I rarely reach for from Charlotte Tilbury because it's a little too peach for me. This is the shade Super Cindy. You may be looking at this going, what's the matter? It looks great. Okay, for me, it's a personal preference. This kind of light peachy shade, although it looks beautiful on some other people, I feel like it doesn't just make my face pop. And it could be that I'm used to wearing a more bold lipstick and this is very subdued. At this point, I would go one of two ways. I would go a little bit more coral, add a little bit more orange to this, or I would go a little bit more on the red side. But I'm gonna start out by adding a more neutral lip liner to the edge. This is the khaki lip liner from Thrive. I wiped everything off the top lip. I'm gonna leave the bottom lip the way it is. But I'm gonna use a darker lip liner on the top lip so you can see what it looks like. And I'm also going to take the time to fill in the lip just to give it a little bit more depth. Top lip has just the lip liner, which is a darker, kind of more cool brown, and the bottom still has just this lipstick. Here's where I'm going to put the lipstick on top, but I'm not going to swipe it on as heavy. I'm going to do kind of like little dabs and then blend it with my finger. It may seem like a subtle difference to you, but I definitely like this slightly cooler nude, and it allows me to use a lipstick that I would never reach for on its own. I would never just like, I'm wearing this one, it's too peach for me. So pairing it with a cooler lip liner, and you don't have to have these exact products, keep that in mind. Just go through, and the mixture of these two together, it's darker, it's not this dark, but it's not this peach. It makes it just a little bit easier and maybe more pleasing to my personal taste and my color palette. But I feel like I'm more willing to wear this shade right here as a neutral nude lip than this more peach toned nude. So just remember that a darker lip liner can totally change the shade of your lipstick. And if you use less lip liner or more lipstick, it's gonna pull one way or the other, but it can change something that might appear too orange to be a little bit more neutral. Now, if you don't have a lip liner, you could use a darker lipstick. This lipstick here is Velvet Sorcery from Lisa Eldridge. It's definitely a little bit on the darker side. It's very pretty on its own. Full Force, it can be a little bit much for me, but if I put this Charlotte Tilbury lipstick over, it's gonna make this a lot more wearable. Do you see how it's still not as peach? It definitely doesn't look like this. It takes it down just a bit. You don't have to have a lip liner, you could use a lipstick. This next one's gonna be a little bit weird because it probably won't go with the makeup I have on the rest of my face, but let's focus on the lips. I just put this shade on. This is Lisa Eldridge's Skyscraper Rose. It's very much a blue leaning bright pink. This is what I would call a cool leaning pink. And if I wanted it to, I feel like this isn't a terrible look, but if I wanted it to blend a little bit easier with the warm cheeks and eyes that I have going on, I would add just a little bit of warmth to this. I'm gonna throw this over the top. This is another lipstick from Lisa Eldridge. This one though, look how peach it is. This one's called Je ne sais quoi. And look at the difference between this lip here and the cooler top lip. It's dramatically different. I feel like this is a much better kind of pink for the colors I already have on my face than the cool pink. And this is what Je ne sais quoi looks like on its own. And here is the one I had on initially. But mixing these two together gets something that's a little bit closer in approximation to what I have on. So if you ever throw a lipstick on with a finished look and you're like, oh wait, this isn't working, ask yourself, is the look I'm wearing warm or cool? And then on top of that, is the lipstick I'm wearing warm or cool? Now, I'm not saying you can't pair warm looks with cool lips. You can. I haven't figured out how to do it successfully 100% of the time. So I end up like cocktailing things. Like I'll put on what color I want. I'm like, oh, that's not quite right. So I'll pull in either something warmer or something cooler. The other thing that I want to remind you of is that you can do the same thing with formula. Let's say you have something that you love, but every time you put it on, it's so glossy and it's so shifty, it just kind of bleeds out into all of your lip lines. Think about pairing it with a kind of a stiffer lip liner. Some lip liners are really creamy and are really melty, and other ones are kind of like really stiff and will hold things in place. That will help. Or putting down a matte lip product first, not a liquid lipstick, but a matte lipstick, bullet lipstick, and then putting that kind of juicier product over the top, but not taking it all the way to the edges so it doesn't creep and crawl on you. Another thing I like to do is to take a liquid lipstick. This one's on my desk. I'll show this to you here. This is the new Lisa Eldridge. If you have one, I'm not saying that this one is uncomfortable, but if you have a lipstick that you love the color of, but for whatever reason it dries your lips out, put a layer of it down. Now that this is mostly dry, I'm going to put a different formula over the top. This is from Roman. This is their Glasting, what is it? Their Glasting Melting Balm, and this is in a red shade. And this is going to add a layer of shine and hydration to it while still keeping that base color. One thing I will tell you, if you're going to be mixing a long wear liquid lipstick that dries down to an indelible finish with something that is hydrating, expect this to not make this like wear forever. It's gonna break it down a little bit. You'll still get the color from the liquid lipstick, but you can see in places where it's a little bit thinner than it was and it's hydrating. If I wanted to, I could kind of rub my finger over it and kind of mix the two formulas together. I find that I get better wear when I like take the time to put something like this over the top of a liquid lipstick, not take it all the way out to the edges, and use my finger kind of to rub it in to make the liquid lipstick that's already dry and this kind of more balm formula kind of become one, to really mix the formulas up. The one thing I would never do is to take like a really glossy oil like this one right here from Hard Candy. This one is so thin. If I were to put this over the top of this, it would be a disaster. It'd be like taking an oil cleanser to your lip product and it would just start to break up and go everywhere. So don't use something like the Clarins lip oil. I would stay away from lip oils and I would use more hydrating balms that do have a little bit of that thicker, cushier, plush texture, but aren't really, really slippy or greasy. And I would be really careful what type of like gloss I put over the top. I'd be more likely to put a sheer lipstick over the top that has a little bit more body and heft to it. The thinner the product is, the oilier it is, the more it's gonna break it up. And if you have a bold shade like this, I feel like this finish is really pretty. It's glossy, it's nice. Mixing two things, but this on its own is kind of like a thicker, plusher sort of product already. But I feel like you can, if you love the color of a lipstick, but it's not hydrating enough for you, what happens when you add something hydrating over the top? And you don't necessarily have to go out and get a whole new product. What do you already have in your collection that is hydrating? But be careful that it's not too slippy or oily like this, or it could just really break it down. And then you'll end up with like, you know, color kind of coming out everywhere. I think when you go through your lip product collection and start looking at things like, okay, what are my dark deep shades? If I have a shade that's too light, what could I use to darken it up with? Or what could I use to lighten something with? What are my warm shades and my cool shades? What would help this formula feel more comfortable? Or if it's a really comfortable formula that goes everywhere, what would help to contain this formula a little bit better? I feel like almost everything that I have, even though I may not love it right on its own the first time I pull it out of its box and put it on, if I can't get it perfect the first time, I will try and think about what do I already have that could get this to a place where I'm super happy. Maybe the color itself is perfect and I love it, but I chose the wrong lipstick for the rest of the makeup on my face that day. And then I'll need to start thinking about shifting, you know, color a little bit warmer, a little bit cooler. It's really frequent that I will have 3, sometimes 4 lip products on. Liner, you know, a gloss and 2 lipsticks, or like I always have like a whole bunch of things on a regular day. On a day where I'm filming, this is where I'm going to be honest, because I'm lazy and I have to put everything in the description bar, I'll try and stick to 1 liner, 1 lipstick. And if I start really cocktailing, then I'm like, oh, wipe it off and just choose 1 or 2. But in my daily life, it's rare that I'll start the day in 1 lipstick and end the day in that same lipstick. Normally, I just like, oh, what else? What happens if I put this on? I'm always experimenting with changing the shade or changing the formula, or what's gonna get me to that look or color that I really want. If I want something that's a little sheerer, but I like a really dark color, can I dab it on and put a little something sheer over the top to sheer it out? I'm forever changing the consistency and the color of my lip products. Don't be afraid to try it. It's just makeup and it washes off at the end of the day. Thank you so much for watching today. The reason I recorded this is because somebody was asking how do I choose the right lipstick for my look. And if you put something on and it doesn't work, what happens if you shift a little bit warmer or a little bit cooler by taking another lip product over the top? And then I had another person recently talking about, really? You use more than 1 lipstick at a time? And I was like, I always have. It's intuitive for me, so I just assumed everybody makes it to the same place that I do. And I know we're all different people. That's a really bad assumption that people go about things the same way I do. And the truth is, new products come in the door, I instantly slap them on, but it doesn't mean I take something else off. And so I'm forever like mixing and matching and trying new things. And at the end of the day, before I wash my face, sometimes I'll sit right here at my Beauty Vanity and I'll just be like, oh, what's this? Oh, what happens here? I'll swipe on some extra eyeshadow or try on a different blush, just to see and to try what works and what doesn't. That's just me though. Obviously, makeup obsessed. If you ever have any questions, please let me know, or let me know how you help shift formula to work better for you or colors to work better for you when it comes to lip product. Let me know in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching. Have an incredible day, and I'll see you again soon.